How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily, back again for another week, and I hope every single one of you have had a good weekend despite the current situation we still find ourselves in. Now, on today's show, we're going to be talking about the Premier League because they reckon that we might have to look at the possibility of games behind closed doors for the whole of next season. We're also going to be talking about Kevin De Bruyne and his future at Manchester City. And lastly, we're going to be speaking about Brighton because they're not too happy about the possibility of games being played at neutral venues.
I represent my fucking self.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. That's right.
So the first place we're going to start is the news that the Premier League are preparing for next season to be played behind closed doors as well. Unbelievable when you look at this because, of course, the coronavirus isn't going anywhere anytime soon, and the only way you're really going to get to grips with this and have a full control is when a vaccine becomes available. And I reckon that a vaccine will not be available until next year, meaning that the whole of next season, forget this season, the whole of next season could be played behind closed doors. As mad as that sounds, that could well be a possibility. And it says that the Premier League clubs are preparing for the possibility of playing the whole of next season behind closed doors. While clubs discuss proposals to complete this season behind closed doors at neutral venues, they have also started considering the impact of playing the 2021 season without fans as well. Clubs are expecting football to get back to normal only when there is a coronavirus vaccine. Most experts believe a vaccine will not become available until the middle of next year. In the meantime, many clubs believe one of the first things they can do is budget for spending little or no money on transfers when the next window opens. The Premier League has said failing to finish this season will cost its 20 clubs more than £1 billion. But playing next season behind closed doors is likely to have an even more dramatic impact on club finances. Premier League clubs make the majority of the money from broadcasting income. Apart from that, the revenues stem mainly from matchday incomes and commercial deals. Both those revenue streams would be significantly reduced if games were played behind closed doors for a whole season. That is absolutely insane. And I think that would affect Arsenal and Manchester United more than anybody because we are the top two in terms of matchday revenue. And to not have that matchday revenue would just be absolutely unthinkable. Not to go to another match for over a year. Absolutely insane. What would the games be like? Just a whole season played behind closed doors. No atmosphere. I think that there would be no energy in the games. No excitement. You'd be better off going down to the local park and just watching a Sunday League team with 5 or 6 people there. And you probably get more atmosphere. Imagine that. Massive stadiums, 50, 60, 70,000 seater stadiums with nobody in them for a whole season. I can see why they're, drawing up these plans just in case. Because it's always good to plan ahead. But I'll tell you something. If we don't get that vaccine anytime soon, then yeah, it could be well into 2021 before we start getting back to normal in any way, shape or form. And it's not just football, in life in general. You think of businesses that would not be able to open for the foreseeable future. Pubs, restaurants, maybe even hairdressers. My work, imagine not being able to have a haircut till 2021. Dear Lord, I'm struggling now. Can't wait till 2021. But listen, with all seriousness, this is like mad when you think about it. No fans. Could you actually imagine that? Do you think that would actually happen? I don't think it will go down that route. I just think that these are, contingency plans, shall we say. But my word, if that did happen, wow, absolutely insane. Next story involves Kevin De Bruyne. And he has been speaking to a Belgian publicist. And Kevin De Bruyne has admitted that he will consider his future if Manchester City's 2-year ban from European competition stands. The Premier League champions have been banned by UEFA for the next 2 seasons for serious breach of financial fair play rules, but have appealed against the punishment to the Court of Arbitration of Sport. De Bruyne's current contract with City runs out in 2023, and although he is happy at the club, the Belgian midfielder says a long exclusion from Europe's elite competition could have an effect on his career path. The club has told us that they will appeal the decision, and they are 100% convinced that they are in the right. I have confidence in my club. If they are saying it's true, then I believe them. While we'll wait and see what happens, once there's a final decision, I will look at it. 2 years without Champions League football would be a long time. 1 year is something that I might be able to cope with. De Bruyne has also denied his future also rests on manager Pep Guardiola remaining at the Etihad. Guardiola's current deal is due to expire in June 2021, although the Spaniard said in November he is open to the possibility of extending his contract. So very, very interesting, very open and honest, to be quite honest with you. Normally when you get asked these kind of questions and whatnot, they kind of, skirt around it and, deviate their ways, away from that. But maybe the fact that a lot of these footballers don't have, the club aides next to them. You always see this now at clubs where if certain questions are being asked by the media and whatnot, then somebody will step in if it's a question that they don't want to, thrown at the player and whatnot, and they'll be like, look, no, sorry, can't be asking none of that. But obviously with everyone in lockdown, they're not going to have those people by their side, and players are giving interviews. And you know what, in the last few weeks, I've seen quite a few players and managers and whatnot giving interviews, and they're very, very open and honest. And maybe that's one of the reasons. But yeah, he says that a year without the Champions League he could probably deal with. But 2, he may well be looking to go somewhere else. And I'll tell you something, if De Bruyne's on the market, there's a lot of teams that would be interested. But I don't think he would probably go to someone, in this country. Maybe a Barcelona or Real Madrid, somewhere like that. But yeah, we will wait and see. And most importantly, we'll wait and see whether this ban gets upheld or not. Last piece of news involves Brighton. And remember, we were speaking last week about the Premier League meeting on Friday. And they're going ahead with plans to restart games this season, but games will be played at neutral venues. Now, Brighton Chief Executive Paul Barber has voiced opposition to the idea of finishing the Premier League season at neutral venues. It is understood that clubs were told on Friday limiting action to a handful of selected stadiums was the only way it was possible to complete the remaining matches of the current season. The latest updates to Project Restart were well received, but there remains opposition on competition and integrity grounds about using neutral venues, with Barber confirming Brighton are amongst those with reservations. West Ham, facing a very similar relegation battle to the Seagulls, would also prefer their home games to be played at the London Stadium. Clearly, we must all be prepared to accept some kind of compromises, and we fully appreciate why playing behind closed doors is very likely to be a necessary compromise to play our remaining games, while continuing to fully support the government's efforts to contain the spread of the coronavirus. And that was, of course, on Brighton's website. But it's a very interesting one, because I can get what they're saying, because, there's some clubs, they rely on their home form. They don't have the best of away forms, and they need those home games to get those points. And there's teams there fighting for life to stay in the Premier League. Even if you look further up the table, for example, Sheffield United, they got a brilliant record at Bramall Lane. And one of the reasons why they're in the position they're in is because of how good their home form is. But then all of a sudden you could take that away from them and they won't have that home advantage. And I know playing, at Bramall Lane behind closed doors won't have the same effect, but it's home comforts, the surroundings. It's your home, that feeling, the pitch and everything else. It might not seem relevant in some respects, but it really is to a lot of the players. And the dressing rooms and the comforts and the normality is what that brings. But playing at these neutral venues, you take all of that away. It's like, semi-finals and finals of a cup, for example. There's no advantage really. And the idea of playing at home and playing away is because you get that home advantage and whatnot. So, yeah, it's a weird one. You know, you think of some clubs that have been away from home, some of the teams that they've played. I can think of Arsenal, for example. We played away at Anfield. We've not played at home against Liverpool, but when we do play them, or if we get to play them, it's at a neutral venue, then you lose that kind of advantage. And despite people maybe laughing at that and thinking, yeah, Arsenal having an advantage, our home record is actually not that bad. And in the last few years, maybe not this season, we've had one of the best home records in the Premier League behind the likes of Liverpool and Man City. So yeah, you're taking away that, and I can understand why the lesser sides, shall we say, fighting relegation have these concerns. But look, if they're going to complete the season, then they're going to have to be done. And I think one of the reasons why they're not playing games at, you know, the actual club's venues is to, you know, minimise the fans turning up and congregating outside and, you know, things like that. They're even talking about having the games at neutral venues, but the venue of where the game's played being secret. I don't know how that'll work, because you just know it'll get leaked out somewhere. But yeah, very interesting. And yeah, we're going to have to start finding out very, very soon as to what is happening. Because if the Premier League have their way, and we're talking about 3-4 weeks, and football will be back. Still don't know how, but that's what they're looking at anyway. So there we go. That is it for today's DT's Daily. As usual, let me know in the comment section what you think about today's topics. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you smash a like on this video. And I'll see you lot tomorrow. I'm out of it.